Hey, it's John Mitchell and you're watching Bubble TV. This is where I try and help you achieve your goals in BCE, and this is Whiteboard Wednesday where I answer your questions. And today's question actually comes from YouTube and it's from Sarah. And she writes, how do you answer 10-mark questions? I often find that I just panic when I come to these questions because they are worth so much. Sarah. Okay, Sarah, that's a really great question, and I'm going to be honest with you, it's not an easy one to answer. The 10-mark question has only been in our course for the last 3 years, since 2010 was the first year. And this year, it's actually changed a little bit. It's still a 10-mark question, but in the previous 3 years, we knew where it came from. They stated that it would come from Unit 4, Outcome 2, so we knew it was on change management. We weren't exactly sure what it was, but we knew that's what it was about. Now, this year, they've come out and said that the 10-mark question can come from anywhere in the course. So that is any of the 5 outcomes in Unit 3 or 4. So it's just going to be a little more difficult to pinpoint exactly what the question's going to be, but these are a couple of things that I think are important that you can go through. The first thing is that you answer the 10-mark question first. That's what we tell our students. What we found in the first couple of years, that some of our students were running out of time throughout the exam, and then they were trying to rush through the 10-mark question. Makes it pretty difficult to rush through a 10-mark question. So what we say now is spend your 20 or 25 minutes doing your 10-mark question first up, get it done. It's worth about 14-15% of your exam, so it's important that you get that done and do it really well. Then if you do run out of time, which you shouldn't, but if you do run out of time, it's a bit easier to quickly rush through a 2 or 3 mark question. That's much easier than to rush through a 10-mark question. Now the second point I want to make is all about structure. We have no idea what this question is going to be on the exam, so there's no point in preparing a set answer, but what we can do is we can try and figure out the structure. If you get the structure right, there's a chance that you're going to get that 7, 8, 9 or 10 marks out of this question. Now only 2 or 3% have got 10 out of 10 in the last 3 years, so it's not an easy question, but if we can structure it correctly, it gives us the best opportunity. So let's have a look at one of the questions that's come up in the previous exams. A writer for a business magazine recently stated change is a process that must be managed effectively to lead to success. Management theorists have provided guidelines to assist managers with their change processes in order to achieve desired outcomes. Explain, here's the question. So that's a case study, here's the question. Explain 4 steps from Kotter's 8-step theory of change management. You'll learn that when you do Unit 4 Outcome 2. Discuss how effective use of Kotter's change theory could impact on the internal environment of an organisation. In your answer, refer to an organisation or a significant change issue you have studied this year. So that's the question. Now let's have a look at how we're going to structure this answer. Now when we talk about structure, what I mean by that is that we're going to treat this question like a mini essay. It's a 10-mark question, so they're expecting you to write a fair bit, but we're going to treat it like a small essay where it has an introduction, the main points that you want to make, and then a small conclusion. So in order to structure it correctly, we're going to take it step by step, and we're going to answer the question the way the question has been written. So let's have a look at the question first, again. Explain 4 steps from Kotter's 8-step theory of change management. We're going to do that first, but what we have to do is we have to always refer it to an organisation or a change issue that we've studied this year. Now this is a big answer, so we're not going to go through the entire answer, that will take us too long. But in this time that we have, what I've done is I've highlighted the points for the structure on how to answer this particular question. Change is the adoption of a new idea or behaviour by an organisation. Now we need to, because we're going to refer it to a case study, it's an idea to give the examiner a bit of a background on the case study that you're actually using. So an organisation I've studied this year was SPC Ardmona. SPC Ardmona, and you go through just a couple of little sentences about what their change was all about. So then that's that part done. And then you can always keep referring back to this case study. To implement this change, SPC Ardmona could use Kotter's 8-step theory, and remember we need to explain 4 steps, and that's what we're going to do. One step of Kotter's theory is to establish a sense of necessity or urgency, and then we explain that step. Next step in Kotter's theory is to form a guiding team. So we're just going through each of these 4 steps. There's 8 steps to choose from, and we've chosen 4. Again, we just do it again. Another step in Kotter's theory is to create a vision, and we explain that, and then we do that with the 4th step. So that's as long as we keep referring case study, you can see here, SPCR and Ardmona could have seen the opportunity to merge and form one organisation. So as you're explaining each step, you're explaining how SPC and Ardmona, or the organisation you've studied this year, could have actually used that particular step. That's it. That's the first part of the question done. Now that the first part is done, we're going to go into the second part of the question. And again, we've got that highlighted. Discuss how the effective use of Kotter's change theory could impact the internal environment for an organisation. Now remember that discuss means we need to look at both sides. So this is how we're going to answer the question. And again, we're not going to go through the whole thing, but I've highlighted at the start. Effectively using Kotter's theory will impact on the internal environment. And then we explain how it's going to impact positively on the internal environment. Then, again, we're always referring to the case study. And then if SPC Ardmona were not to use Kotter's theory, and we look at the other side, so if they weren't to use Kotter's theory effectively, how is that going to impact the internal environment? You might look at some negative things that are going to happen. Now that's discussing how Kotter's theory is going to impact the internal environment. And then we just simply conclude. It is therefore important that Kotter's theory be used when SPC Ardmona implemented this change. It ensured that the change was successful and the new organisation achieved economies of scale, which is essentially what they were trying to achieve in that case study that we do some research on throughout the year. But that's how to answer the question. Go through it step by step, answer the first part of the question, answer the next part of the question, and if there's a third part, you then answer that. So Sarah, that was my answer to your question. I hope you liked it. Just remember, it's up to you, but our advice is to do the 10-mark question first, and remember your structure. That's really important. So good luck with it all, and as always, let us know how it goes. Now, I want to put the challenge out to you. Here I've got a question that I want you all to answer. Explain the 5 levels of Maslow's hierarchy. Discuss how the effective use of Maslow's theory could impact the internal environment. In your answer, refer to an organisation you have studied this year. And guess what? It's worth 10 marks. If you'd like to answer the question, or if you have any advice on how you're going to approach your 10-mark questions, then head over to teachingbubble.com/blog. Type your answers into the comment section. That's where all the great conversation happens. Did you like this video? If so, then subscribe now and share it with all your friends. And if you want even more awesome resources to help you achieve the goals that you want in VCE, then come over to teachingbubble.com and check us out. Continue to stay focused on your goals and dreams, work hard, and don't be scared to ask for help. You actually can achieve what you set your mind to. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on Bubble TV.